Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So one thing that I have been asked a lot of is not only how many pens I have in my collection, but also how many Viscontis I have in my collection. So I decided, because I get this question a lot, that I would actually go through and show you all of the Visconti pens that I have in my collection. Now, I actually have 57 Viscontis in my collection. I did have a lot more. I was around about 65, I think even 67 actually, up until June 2019. And then I decided in July and August to let some of my pens go and sell them. And I let about 20 pens go by the end of July. Some of those were Viscontis, not all of them, but I had some Viscontis in there, and if you were one of the lucky people, you would have actually perhaps purchased one of those from me. So why do I have that amount of Viscontis? So first off, I've decided that to try and show 57 pens on camera is probably going to take a little bit long because I want to go through each pen. So I decided on whether or not to split this into 2 or 3 videos. I've decided to split it into 3 videos, so around about 20 pens per video. So this is the first part in a series of 3 videos on my Viscontis that I have now. Clearly I can't show the Viscontis that I did have, but you would have seen those in currently inked, and probably also some review videos are still on my channel. So really just we'll go through left to right and I'll show you the pens in detail, and I'll give you a little bit of background information on why I added these to my collection. So this is the first pen, and this is an interesting pen. This is the 60th anniversary of the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. And this was a pen, so Visconti made this in 2 pens. They made a purple version and they made this red version with some gold dust in it. I really like the look of this gold dust version. Now, not all my pens are fountain pens. This is a rollerball pen. But sometimes you do need a rollerball. But for me, this actually wasn't that expensive. So I decided I would actually pick it up. And you can see here, it is a rollerball. And you can see it in the size of my hand. And likewise, if you want to post the cap. And it just uses a standard Visconti rollerball here. And this is just the AA40, which is a common Visconti rollerball. And for me, I just wanted a pen that I could actually take and fill out some forms with that wasn't a fountain pen, so I didn't have to worry about whether or not it was going to bleed or feather and completely ruin a form that I just filled out. So I decided I'd like to buy this, and I saw that it had gold dust in this lovely sort of like maroon coloured pen, and it does have some swirls of gold going on there. So for me, and also living in the UK, Queen Elizabeth II, I thought that that was actually quite a fitting pen really to purchase. It wasn't one of my first pens. It was, I think, probably around maybe the 30th pen or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then one day I was trolling eBay and I saw this pen, and it's a Visconti and it's called the Ashford. And again, it's another rollerball, but it has a Visconti bridge clip there, but it's done in like a brake disc. But it has this lovely sort of pearlescent grey going on. So this one is a screw cap, but you can see there, again, it's a slightly different design in terms of the section, but you can post the cap and it actually comes a bit longer. Actually, quite a bit longer, to be honest. It does feel a little bit back weighted, but again, it's a rollerball that I will use from time to time. Now, I'm not going to do any writing samples with any of these pens because it's going to take too long, but I will show you all of these pens and give you a little bit of a backstory. So I was just looking on eBay and seeing what cheap Viscontis I could effectively buy, and this one was found in the UK from a seller on eBay, so I decided to buy it quite quickly. And then there's this Visconti Belgica, and really good backstory on this. Again, it was an eBay purchase. I never even heard of the Belgica, and this is really to signify Belgium coming of age. You have the crown crest there and a lion. And at the end of the day, this is a fountain pen. It's a power vac filler. It's actually, if I unscrew it, it's actually a decent size power vac double reservoir, and it's actually got not a 23 carat palladium nib, but it's got an 18 carat gold nib that you'll see there, and it's a broad nib as well. And I saw this, strangely enough, on eBay one night, and I absolutely couldn't believe the price. It was a ridiculous price. And it was selling for close to about 90% off. And I decided that I would put a bid on, and I was the only person that put a bid on because the seller didn't actually put a proper description down for the pen. So nobody was bidding on the pen because they didn't know what it was. They didn't know. It was also, the photos were stock photos. They weren't actually photos of the pen, so I didn't really know if I was going to get it or not, or what I was going to get. But again, it was a UK seller, so I bought that. It came in a very heavy box. I was really glad. The seller actually didn't mean to sell it for that price. He meant to put the starting price a little bit higher, but I'm glad he didn't because I got a really good deal there. Superb deal. And then I have the Visconti Brunelleschi, and I like the idea of this. I already had a couple, I think, of the lava, and the basaltic lava versions of the Homo sapiens are, the lava's ground down into a dust and then mixed with resin, and Visconti basically did the same thing with this, but instead of lava, basaltic lava, this was actually terracotta. So this was initially a pen that was made for Fountain Pen Network. There was a special version for them, and then this one was then pushed into general production as a limited edition, and I decided to get this one, and I do like it. It's a 23 carat palladium nib, it's a medium nib, and it's a limited edition of 388. The Belgica actually is a limited edition of 175, so a little bit more limited there. But the Brunelleschi I liked the look of. There was some initial forum posts about the caps cracking and that. I've not had any problem with mine. I believe mine was from the second batch, so I've not had any issues there. And then there was this Visconti Camelot, and I was able to pick this up from Scriptus in Canada, and this, I was really glad. A friend was there, was able to pick it up for me, and was able to then send it to me within a few weeks. And I'm absolutely glad that I bought this. This is the Visconti Camelot. This was made in 2000, and it's got this lovely chainmail effect going on here. Beautiful pen with gold accents and trim. You've got a sword as a clip. Even got sort of like a dome helmet there. And again, this is a power vac filler. It's not a double reservoir, but it does have a really, really nice nib. It's a 18 karat gold medium nib, and I'll just zoom in and show you there. And this writes very wet and very nicely. Now, the Visconti Camelot, as I said, it was made in 2000, and it's a limited edition one of 999. Normally, Visconti do 888 or 388. People ask why they end in 88 normally, and it's purely because 8 is a lucky number in Asian cultures. This one, though, was made of 999, and this is 979. But I'm really glad that I was able to pick this up when I did, and I also, with the exchange rate, actually got a really, really good deal. And then we have this one, and this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Caput Mundi, which I believe translates to Rome being the capital of the world. This was a pen that I picked up from Stefano at Stilograph Corsani, along with my Corsani 90. And this is a pen that I really like the look of. I love this sort of like bronze accents going on here with the pen, with the deep dark red. It's a Homo Sapiens pen, it's a Paravac filler, it's a double reservoir, and it also comes with a 23 cat palladium medium nib, and that is again a very, very wet writer. Now you can post the cap if you want to, but I never do. But this was a pen that I picked up in Rome from Stefano, and a couple of years later I also picked up this Visconti, and again it's a Homo Sapiens, and it's the Chianti, and this is again a very lovely model. It doesn't have a lot of gold in it compared to some models, but that's how I wanted it. There were some models that literally had the whole barrel or body of the pen in red or gold, and I wanted just some subtle changes so I could see the ink more. So again, this is a Homo Sapiens, and this, you can see here in the size of my hand, is actually a very good size again, and this is again a medium 23 cat palladium nib. So you can see there. Now this one did write a little bit more on the dry side, and I did have to floss the tines to open the tines up a little bit. Now it actually writes quite nicely. And that has been something that I've had to do with probably a small number of my Viscontis, not a large, not even 20%. Like, I think probably the most I've actually flossed the tines on is probably about a dozen pens out of what would have been around 70 odd pens. So the next pen here we have is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Corsani 90, and I actually picked this up with the Caput Mundi, and I'd been looking at this pen for a couple of months on Stefano's website at stilographcorsani.com, and when I went to buy it, it was sold out according to the website. And I looked at that, and then I looked at the Caput Mundi, and the Caput Mundi looked as though it was in stock. So I messaged Stefano and said, hey look, I really want one of these Corsani 90s, but if you haven't got one of these, could you sell me a Caput Mundi instead? And he came back and said, well, I've got both. So what do you do in that situation? You buy both, and I did buy both. This came with a medium 23 cat palladium nib. I have since swapped it out for a 1.3mm stub nib, and I like that a lot. But it's just a pen. I love the stacked celluloid. It's a pen that I like a lot. You can post the caps again if you want to, but I don't do it. But this stacked celluloid is really, really gorgeous. Unfortunately, these are long sold out now, so you can't get those unless you actually want to buy one on the used market. And then about a year later, Stefano said that he was going to do another version of the pen, and it was going to be a Homo Sapiens, and it was going to be based on the design of the Brunelleschi. So if you look at the Brunelleschi, you actually see it's a faceted. So you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's basically an octagonal pen. And I like the idea of that. I like that it was going to have facets on it. Normally I only think of Homo sapiens when they have the dual band here on the cap. This doesn't. So I don't normally call this a Homo sapiens. I just call it what it was designed to be called, the Corsani Octagonal. But it's a play on words, so it's octagonal as in OCTA90NAL. And the reason for that was it was based around the Corsani 90th anniversary, and that's basically what the Corsani 90 was when it was made or sold. So Stefano kept the 90 in it and decided to put it into the name under Octagonal. And then we have another pen here, and this is a Visconti Divina Elegance, and this is the brown version, and you can see here this is a really nice pen. And this is a pen that I've seriously considered selling, and I did list it. Nobody has bought it yet, so maybe it will be bought by the time this video airs, I'm not sure. But these Divinas I do like. They are very long. They have a captured converter that you pull this out and twist to suck in ink. It comes with a 23 cat palladium nib. This is a medium nib. And I'd already had a couple of these already. Actually, I think I had 3. I had the Desert Spring, I had the Typhoon Blue, and I had the Elegance in Green. And I decided I wanted to add the black lucite, and I couldn't find any at the right price. And then this one came up on eBay, and it was an insane price, and I decided to buy it, and I bought it, and there it is. But it's a pen that I don't write with a lot, and I think because a lot of Divinas, because they only hold around 0.6, 0.7 milliliters of ink, I tend to go through it a lot quicker. So I'm trying to change my way in how I look at pens, because I have Visconti travelling ink wells, I have Pinida pen fillers. I can refill pens on the go if I really want to, so it shouldn't be an issue. It's just you may have to re-ink the pens more times than others and maybe get your fingers a little bit inky. So that's the first 10 pens on this video. Let's now look at the next 10 pens. So here's the next 10 pens. So this is a total of 20 pens now for this part of the series. So from left to right we have another Visconti Divina, and this is the Visconti Divina in the Elegance Green. This was a 2017 model. It's again, all of the Divinas are a push-pull captured converter, and this comes with a 23 cat palladium, and I got a medium nib on there. I tend to like the medium nibs a lot in Visconti, although more lately I've been going for stubs or broad nibs. You can see here though, in the size of the hand, it's really quite good. You can post the caps. The silver rods here line up. Now these are silver rods, I believe, coated in a bronze, or maybe even actually be a bronze trim instead of silver. But you can see here, this pen actually looks quite nice. There's a ton of chatoyance going on there, and I wanted a few more Divinas, and I decided that I would get a few more. And strange enough, Chris at Truffet reached out to me and said I needed a few more Viscontis, and said he could do a good deal on that. So that was actually one of the first of many pens that I bought from Chris. And then I also received this pen, and this was a present from a friend, and this is the Divina Metropolitan, and it's a MIDI. All of the Divina Metropolitans came in the MIDI size and not a full size, which is a shame actually. I really wish that they had done this in the full size version, but you can see here this really is a beautiful pen. So again, it has the hook safe lock mechanism on it. This is a 23 cap palladium nib, and it's a broad nib there, but it's a number 5 nib because it's a medium or midi size pen. You can post the cap, and again the silver rods do line up, which is a really good thing. I really like how Visconti managed to do that. It's not as easy as you would think. And then about a year later, I decided I wanted to get a few more, and Chris at Truffet had a few more of these, but these are not fountain pens, these are rollerballs. So I picked up another one, the platinum or silver coloured stacked celluloid, but this was in the rollerball, and you actually have to unscrew this screw here to get at the rollerball refill to be able to replace it. And then I picked up this one, which was the green version, and hopefully you can see a little bit there, the green sort of catching the light. But again, this is a rollerball. So I do have rollerballs. I don't have ballpoints. That's where I draw the line. I do not go for ballpoints because I hate ballpoints and I hate gel pens as well. Rollerballs are pretty much using fountain pen ink or very close to fountain pen ink, so I tend to like those a lot. And this was my first Visconti Divina, and one of my very early Visconti. So this is the Divina Desert Springs. Now you'll notice here that these have rods going through them. This one does not. This is a celluloid version, and I really prefer it not to have the rods. It still has the twisted facets though on this pen, and I have a review of this pen, and it's an absolute gorgeous pen. And you can see here in the length of my hand, it's actually a very long pen. And if I uncap it, you'll see here that's a long pen. And then you can also still post the cap if you want, but it becomes very long. So I don't normally do that. Now this does come with a 23 cap palladium, and again it's a medium nib, number 6 size nib. And I actually picked this up from John Hall at right here. This was one of the early on Viscontis that I purchased. I think it was soon after my London Fog and Florentine Hills, and he had this there, and it was actually not a bad price compared to some of the other Divinas, so I decided to pick it up there and then. And then I bought this one, and again it's another Divina, but this one is not the Elegance blue, it's the Typhoon blue. And the reason for it, and it's very difficult to see, but you may see some black Typhoon swirls in that body. It is harder to see, but you'll see it just about there. And then maybe up here towards the tip of the cap, you'll see a bit more there, but it's mostly in the body there. And I decided to pick this up partly because it was a good price and I wanted more Divinas. And again, you can see in the size of my hand, it's really good. You can post the cap if you really want to, and it has a 23 cap palladium nib, and again that's a medium nib. And you can see the silver rods that are going through, and they are actual silver rods in this pen. But it is a capture converter, so it only holds around 0.6 to 0.7 milliliters of ink. But I wanted a few more of the Divinas. I really wanted to get the black lucite, and I really wanted to get the red one at one point. I never was able to pick those up. They were on sale, but they were just too much that I was prepared to pay for. And then one day I noticed this, and this was from Chris at Truffet, and this is the Visconti Ducali Palacio di Sassuolo Amber. And this is actually made in the Yellow Dawn celluloid that Visconti have made a number of pens in. Especially, I've got a Voyager now that has that as well. It comes with the old style Voyager keel clip. Keel as in sort of the keel on a boat. But this actually is a really lovely pen because it actually has the Palace, if I get it the right way up. You'll see here the Palace is actually engraved on it, and you can see just about here. Hopefully you can see it, but it really is a lovely pen mixed with this Yellow Dawn material. It's a Paravac filler, and this is, I'm just looking at my notes here, it's an 18 karat gold medium nib, and this is a limited edition run of 400, and this is number 65. And I was really lucky to be able to pick this up. This was actually on auction with Chris at Truffet, and I was able to pick this one up for what was a very good deal at the time, for me anyway. Maybe not for Chris. And then we have this one, and it's a Visconti Ecstasy. Now, it's called the Dowd, the D''OUD, although OUD is a fragrance in Western countries, and I now have actually realised it's actually pronounced oud. So with a D and an apostrophe, I guess it's the Ecstasy Dude, or Dude. I'm still probably going to call it the Dowd, but this is a limited edition run in 2014. Only 388 of these pens were made. You can see why I like this. It's a gorgeous pen. It has this end cap that you unscrew, and the idea is, because it's oud, which is a fragrance, you fill the pen with perfume. You put the dabber in here, and then what you do is you do it the right way. You put some cotton fluff in here in this cage, and then you dab this in here to scent it. And this is not something I've tried doing, but it's something you can do. So this is the end cap, and you'll see there it's 164 of 388. So only 388 models of this were made. Now this is the gold vermeil version. There is, I believe, a solid yellow gold and a solid rose gold, which sell for about 10 times as much. This I managed to pick up at an auction. I saw it going on an auction from Marte Modena, and I'd seen it for about 4 weeks. I'd bid on each of the pens, and each pen had sold, and it had gone much higher than I wanted to. And then I think it was the 4th or 5th week, I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to bid on this final pen, and I actually got it for a lot less than the other pens. The downside that I didn't know was that with Marte Modena, they never had the pens. They had to then get the pens and then ship them, which is against eBay's terms and conditions. I did get this for a really good price, but I waited almost 6 weeks for it to arrive, when it should have arrived within a couple of days. So it was a bit of a bittersweet pen. Now, in terms of the filling system here, it's an old style push-pull piston, so it doesn't hold a lot of ink, about 0.6, 0.7 milliliters of ink, but it's a beautiful pen, stunning pen. It has a 23 cap palladium medium nib, and this pen is very wet and very bouncy. So this really is a special pen for me. Now, I got this for a really insane deal. I did know when I was bidding on it that it didn't come in the official Ecstasy Dowd box with the 2 perfume bottles, but that didn't bother me. I really just wanted the pen. But I got it for an insane deal. And then there's this one, and I bought this in Australia, and this is the Visconti Fiorenza Lava. And again, it has one of these old style Voyager Kill style clips, very springy. This was actually the first pen that Visconti made with basaltic lava in with this resin, and very different to the Homo Sapiens Lava edition, but it's a mix of basically various colours in a resin to look very similar to, I guess, some of the Van Goghs and Rembrandt's oil type paintings. Now, this one Again, this is a little bit of a bittersweet one. This was a lot more expensive than I thought it would be, but I got it, and then within a few weeks, I think probably about 4 weeks, the pen started leaking. And even though it was new old stock, now it comes with this old style power vac filler, and so you have to unscrew the body there, and basically this started leaking. But I sent it away to Visconti, paid, I think it was £25 at the time, and they fixed it, and it's been perfectly fine ever since. But they are glued into place, so that glue will fail over time. And again, that's a 23 carat palladium medium nib. There were only 200 of these ever made, and that one is 124 out of 200. My second Visconti I ever bought was this Homo Sapiens Florentine Hills, and this really is a lovely, stunning ribbon, although you can't see it a lot there because of the ink that's in there at the moment. But you can see now it is aging a bit. Some of the enamel is flaking off around the Visconti name there on the clip. I could get that fixed or repaired if I wanted to, but to be honest, I'd rather not send it in. I do like the size of these pens. This was the second pen that I got from Visconti, or bought from Visconti, and I bought this from Pure Pens from Ross. I bought the London Fog, and I liked it so much within a day I then bought this version. So this has a 23 carat palladium medium nib on it, and that's really, with this and the London Fog, is really what started me down the Visconti journey. People ask me why I go for Viscontis, and it's just because I've had a really good experience with a lot of Viscontis. There have been a few that I've not had a good experience with, but for the most part I've had a really good experience. I like the designs, I like the shapes, I like the material that they use. I like that they use power vac fillers for the most part. So that's really the reason why I started down this Visconti route, and I really liked them and wanted more, to the point that I think it was 67 total that I reached before I started selling some of them. And now I'm at, what did I say? I'm just going to look at my sheet here. 57. So I still have quite a lot of Viscontis. Maybe some of these I will sell at some point in the future. But this was the first 20 Viscontis that I have, and these were just in alphabetical order. These were not by date of acquisition. But there will be a second and a third part of this series, maybe even a fourth part if I buy more Viscontis, but for the time being, there'll be, in part 2 there will be another 20 pens, and in part 3 there'll be 17 pens. So this is my Visconti Pens series. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.